Good morning, Devils fans. I know I've already talked about this guy's game in a previous episode, but these are to encapsulate everything leading up to the point of him joining the New Jersey Devils, and for that reason, today's spotlight is on Tomas Nosek. Born September 1st, 1992 in Pardubice, Czechoslovakia, and it is Czechoslovakia as he was born a few months before the split there, to his parents, father Miroslav, who is a sports coach, and his mother Danila, a deputy director for a sports gymnasium. Nosek would play in the Czech U18 and U20 leagues basically his entire life growing up. In 2011-12, as a rookie in the top Czech league, he'd play and help his team win the league championship. Nosek would go on to play 3 total seasons there with HC Pardubice, where in his final year he would lead the team in both goals and assists. No championship that year though. Nosek would end up going undrafted in both his draft eligible year and into the next, but he would sign in June of 2014 an ELC with the Red Wings, where he'd play his first season exclusively with their AHL affiliate, the Grand Rapid Griffins. He'd make his NHL debut on December 26, 2015 in a win over the Nashville Predators. Nosek would go pointless in his 6 games that season, spending most of his time in the AHL. He'd signed a 2-year, $1.225 million extension in May of 2016. He'd again spend most of his time in the AHL, but that year would get into 11 NHL games. His first NHL goal and point would come during that stretch on March 28th against Cam Ward in a loss to the Carolina Hurricanes. That would be his only point that season. As a Griffin, Nosek would lead his team in both goals and assists in the playoffs on the road to winning the 2017 Calder Cup. And at the 2017 NHL expansion draft, Nosek would be selected by the Vegas Golden Knights. He would go on to score the first goal in Vegas Golden Knights history. Nosek would score his first career playoff goal that season in Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals versus the Winnipeg Jets. As a restricted free agent, he would sign a 1-year, $962,500 deal with Vegas, and a year later he would get a 1-year, $1 million extension. In total, he would play for 4 seasons in Vegas, scoring 31 goals, 34 assists for 65 points in 240 regular season games, and 6 goals, 4 assists for 10 points in 38 playoff games. As a unrestricted free agent now, Nosek would sign a 2-year, $3.5 million contract with the Boston Bruins, over which he would score 10 goals, 25 assists for 35 points in 141 regular season games, and no goals, 4 assists in 14 playoff games. Again, finding himself an unrestricted free agent, Nosek would sign a 1-year, $1 million deal on July 19, 2023 with the New Jersey Devils. So, obviously that was just this past offseason, only about a month, not even a month ago now. So, what can we expect for on-ice play from Nosek? Well, I kind of had a video that covered this before, but I want to touch on all of it again. Nosek is mostly a defensively minded 4th-line PK specialist. Offensively, he's fine enough at setting up plays for line mates and can capitalize on chances himself, but isn't really generating a ton. Production-wise, he isn't an absolute black hole, so at 4th line, he's pretty much fine as a 4th liner production-wise. In transition, he's fairly fine across the board. He can carry the puck up the ice himself, mostly fine, but again, he isn't generating a ton off of that. Flipping the ice, though, is very valuable coming from the 4th line. Much better to end up with a face-off in the offensive zone than the defensive zone. Defensively, he's overall good, although not elite by any means. His suppression numbers are moderate to good, but is much better at recovering a puck than actually preventing chances. So, not the most ideal defensive type thing, but he is a forward, plays a bit of center at wing, so so-so in that department. But his bread and butter is that he has shown across multiple teams is he is fairly, if not legitimately elite at penalty killing. And that seems to be his niche and the area that we brought him in for. Off the ice, he's married to his high school sweetheart, Aliska, a professional basketball player for his home country. After 7 years together, they married in their hometown in 2018. They now have 2 baby boys together, Patrick, born in January of 2020, and Mateus, born in February 2021. Beyond that, he's really good friends with both the Hollas and Millers, all of them having played in Vegas together, and I know their wives, girlfriends are all really, really close. So, if you look at Nosek here as a potential waiver down to our AHL team, and his wife were to stay here in Jersey, potentially with their 2 kids, at least she has a bit of a foundation to build on, knowing the lives of a couple other NHL regulars here. So going forward, he's a stopgap guy who's going to be fighting for a spot with probably like 3 other dudes for a role on our 4th line. His niche compared to those other guys are his elite PKing numbers. So will he have a guaranteed spot here? I don't think so. He is going to be fighting for a position on the starting roster for this team. I find it unlikely he's here beyond this 1-year deal, but you never know. Maybe he just naturally fits into our system much better than he has in others, and he just really fills in that PK role that we desperately need, but I don't think we desperately need it. So again, we'll kind of just see how it shakes out with him. He'll be 31 before the season even starts, isn't guaranteed the roster spot, so we don't even know what this year is going to look like for him, let alone next. So given the fact he's not guaranteed the spot, whatever happens going to happen. Whether he fights out a spot for some other roster guys fall off for other reason. There's always injuries. He probably sees ice eventually at some time, unless he's taken on a waiver wire if we try and send him down. So we'll see. I mean, it's at least good for his family that they have a support system here of other people that they know at the very least. Top 3 plays for him, obviously, had a really scratch at the bottom of the barrel, given he hasn't even put on a Devils uniform in any way, shape, or form. So number 3, going to go off board again, talking just the first goal in franchise history out in Vegas. It's just really cool to always be in a record book as someone who scored the first goal in a franchise's history. You can never take that away from him, no matter what happens in his career, so he can always hang his cap on that. Number 2 is press conference. As everyone knows, I'm sure at this point, I just like guys that seem to genuinely want to be here. While technically he did choose us coming in out as a unrestricted free agent, I'm sure a big part of that choice was having the Hollas and Millers here. I believe at that time we didn't even have Colin Miller yet, or it was right around that time. So I don't know how many other suitors he had. I don't know, what his other options looked like, but he technically chose us, so that's always great to feel. And then number 1 coming in is he's a Devil, so I'm going to support him. If you're one of our guys, I'm here to support you through mostly anything. So yeah, that's really it. Fairly quick episode for who is at best probably a depth guy, at worst might not even play a single game as a Devil, so we'll see. But for right now, he is signed to our NHL roster as one of our 23 contracts. He has a full one-way NHL deal, so we'll see exactly how this plays out for him. But that's really going to do it for today. I will see everyone again tomorrow morning. As always and forever, let's go Devils.